Hi, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We'll start off with some introductions. I'm Andy Walker. I lead Lemongrass's America's Go-to-Market. Been in the SAP ecosystem for 20 years in a variety of roles, initially as a customer many years ago, 10 years or so as a services consultant and helping drive solutions for customers from a functional standpoint. With Deloitte, and then the last 5 years I was at Google, where I was engaged in driving their SAP go-to-market efforts in Americas as well. So I'm very excited to have two colleagues join me that I will now allow to introduce themselves as well. Mayank, would you like to go first?
Sure, thanks, Andy. Hi, everybody. My name is Mayank Madan. I head up data analytics practice for Lemongrass. I've been with Lemongrass for the last 2 years. I come from data industry, been working in data industry since the data warehouse days. I've seen the evolution from data warehouses to Hadoop to cloud ecosystem, and now to modern fabric architecture. Very closely working with all of our existing SAP customers and new customers who are joining this journey onto what does the modern data ecosystem landscape look like for them, and how do we kind of modernize their legacy data ecosystems. Nice to be here. Babu, you want to go?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Babu Ayalu. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas. I'm one of the solutions architects in Lemongrass, specializing on SAP on cloud, data, and AI. I'm with Lemongrass for the past 3 years, and of course within the SAP ecosystem for close to 25 years, supporting customers who their large landscapes, supporting them to embrace new. And today it is an exciting day for us with a lot of new functionalities to be adopted in SAP. Happy to be here.
Great. All right. Well, let's dive into it. Let's start by zooming out a little bit. The world of data platforms has really changed drastically. 10 years ago, centralized monolithic warehouses ruled, but today it's a federated cloud native and designed for scale and AI. Platforms like BigQuery, Snowflake, and SAP's Datasphere are rewriting the rules. So Mayank, you've seen the evolution firsthand. How have data architectures shifted for large enterprises?
I think that's a very, very good question, Andy, to start with. And what I would say is, since I started my career, I've been working in mostly data projects. And earlier it used to be traditional on-prem data warehouse systems, vertical scaling, where we have the data warehouse, and when we need to upgrade, the storage and compute are closely attached with each other, and we need to think about strategy about vertical scaling and running ETL for hours and hours, for more than 18 hours, 20 hours to generate critical reports, which is required by a customer in the morning. So we used to spend some time nights running those ETLs, and so that there are no issues and failures. Coming from that to fast forward 10 years, I would say about a decade ago, a revolution evolution has changed to Hadoop, and that's when the storage and compute got segregated, and it was more distributed system, and not only structured data but unstructured data processing. From there onwards, if you see past decade, is a lot of pace in terms of modern data ecosystem, whether you talk about data mesh, data products as a service, whether you talk about data fabric approach, right? So, and now with AI, you can write your ETL. We are talking about zero ETL right now. So the last 10 years, I've seen, I would say, a lot of pace in terms of evolution of data ecosystem. And we are currently in a world where this has evolved to a level, and you gave some examples like Snowflake, Databricks, BDC, Datasphere. These are popular platforms, to manage that data ecosystem architecture in a data fabric approach.
That's great. And Babu, from your perspective, what does this evolution look like within the SAP landscape?
Absolutely. In SAP, let me start with the ERP side, right? And we have observed the evolution of the ERP marked by transition to HANA from other databases to HANA. HANA being the high-speed in-memory database, and the adoption of S4HANA, and S4HANA supporting the intelligent enterprise. Inherently, it has got the ability to support operational analytics embedded in itself. On the BW side, we have seen the development of use of HANA Accelerator to speed up queries, and moving on to fully adopting the BW for HANA. So customers do use BW for HANA as a next stage product. And now the customers are progressing to the current Datasphere. Additionally, we are witnessing the use of HANA as an enterprise data warehouse as well, leveraging the calculation views, and that is also existing. What is new here in the span of things, as Mayank explained, with the advent of AI, Joel being made available as omnipresent, and interactions with have become more natural and conversational. And in order for that to have a grounded data with the business context, the potential of AI, if it has to be fully leveraged, it is essential to make the business-specific data, SAP and non-SAP, to be made available enterprise-wide, holistically, to deliver actionable insights. And that's the holistic scenario change which we are seeing, Andy. Over to you.
That's great. So the ecosystem now includes things like Datasphere, as well as BTP, and connectors to non-SAP systems. Babu, what does this mean for traditional BW customers?
Yes, it means a transition. It means a change. BW for HANA is supported till 2040. But what is written out loud on the wall, that Datasphere is the long-term solution. And Datasphere provides a federated data access. It facilitates open integration with various systems, and it is native to cloud. So customers need to reevaluate what they were using in the past, and in terms of the info objects, the customer routines, and then their data set transformations. And that's a key thing to start with, I think, Andy.
Great. Anything else you'd like to add here, Mayank?
Yeah, definitely. I think Babu has raised most of the points, which are quite relevant and important for customers from technical point of view. But I would like to add few things from overall strategic and business objectives point of view, because any data transformation project or program is not merely a technical upgrade. It requires a business case and what is the value we are going to get out of it. And when we talk about that, you cannot, have data in silos. You need to see both ecosystems. You have BW ecosystem here, and you have a data analytics or data lake ecosystem. Most of our enterprises have got both ecosystem running in parallel. And earlier, what it used to be like, okay, we need some SAP data analytics combined with non-SAP data and do analytics on it. And customer used to extract. You coming from Google, you may have witnessed the same, Andy, right? Taking data out of SAP ecosystem, combining with, let's say, forecast data of or weather data, and then doing the forecast on sales, right? And that was the classic kind of ecosystem. Now with BDC coming into picture, now with Datasphere and the evolution of different platforms coming into picture, the customer needs to see that what is my business objective, what is my data strategy, how does my ecosystem or target roadmap look like for data ecosystem, and based on that they need to define on what do we do with my BW and my legacy data ecosystem. And it has become very important now to think through those strategy, that what is my migration strategy look like for modernizing this legacy data ecosystem, which is BW and BobJ and all in SAP landscape.
That's great. So you kind of hit on that. Migration becomes the focus, given the context of all these changes and options now. What are the migration approaches that we usually explore with BW or HANA warehouse customers?
Right. So I think there are different, migration approaches. But before, going through that, I would like to point out, what are different migration paths, right? What are the modernization paths? Is it like simple? Earlier, it used to be when only BW for HANA was there, and the recommended path was let's go from BW on HANA to BW for HANA. Then evolution happened on data warehouse cloud. Then we saw Datasphere. Now it is BDC. Is it the right approach? Is it the only option for customers, for enterprise customers, that let's move from BW to BDC? What about the data ecosystem they have already built, data lake architecture they have already built, and they want to do non-SAP data analytics? And yes, for many customers, BDC provides that, because now Databricks and ML is included within BDC ecosystem. But for many other customers, they need to think through, I need to go hybrid, probably have both ecosystems running in parallel. So based on that, there are 3 to 4 migration strategy or options. So first migration strategy is majorly what we call it as a rehosting. Okay, and what we used to call lift and shift from on-prem onto cloud before, right? So you have BW on HANA running on-prem. Now you want to move to cloud, and a lot of customers, while moving their SAP landscape, they have moved BW to cloud, or some of the customers are still moving onto cloud, maybe as part of RISE as well sometimes, right? That's first one. Second is about replatforming, and that was very popular when there was no other option but BW for HANA as a transformation next path. It was kind of a replatforming of BW on HANA to BW for HANA, to get the new features of BW for HANA, which is some customers wanted. Third path is replatforming. And why we are calling it as a replatforming? Because replatforming is, the target path is, let's say, Datasphere. Datasphere architecture is different than BW architecture. Now it relies on more of a data lakehouse architecture, right? You have objects stored there. You could create data products. You could have a data fabric architecture. You have self-service analytics as well as part of SSE combination. So you need to think through that. Now you cannot just lift BW and put it or do a technical upgrade and it will be moved to Datasphere. You need to re-architect it. There are BW Bridge and other mechanisms available for migration, but it's not very straightforward technical upgrade, right? And last but not least is what we call it as a hybrid architecture, wherein you have Datasphere or BDC on one hand, and we have cloud ecosystem on other hand. And we see this parallel across enterprises. There are two kind of strategic path on data. One is SAP landscape, one is enterprise data landscape. And now enterprises are thinking, how can we merge this landscape together to build an ecosystem which we can call it as a data fabric ecosystem. And this hybrid path is most popular among enterprises. The key thing is how do we kind of create that path? And when we modernize BW, when we migrate BW BobJ, where exactly these data products will sit, whether it's in BDC, whether it's in hybrid, and what functionality or modules will go in BDC, what modules and functionality or business analytics go in the cloud data ecosystem. So these are 4 kind of strategies we are seeing. First 2 are not that kind of popular these days. Of course, moving to cloud is anyway by default option now, but moving to Datasphere, some customers have already invested in BTP, for example, right? They are gonna go and build Datasphere on BTP. Customers who have not gone to Datasphere, they will by default now look for BDC option, and they have data lake, they will try to look for an option of hybrid.
That's great. Thanks, Mayank. And given those migration path options that Mayank just talked through, Babu, from an SAP standpoint, what's hard to migrate?
Well, the easy part is we have automated tools, and most part we can leverage. But the difficult, I would say, or something which needs attention closely is the custom routines which the customers would have developed in their legacy environment. The info object hierarchies, which they might have had, and deciphering that and identifying the outdated data sets which needs transformation, and all these needs a little bit of reverse engineering. And the automated tools could be used to pass these custom routines and to convert their logic, especially for deployments to Databricks or platforms like Redshift and so on. So I would say attention is required to the custom routines which the customer would have used for a long time as a key aspect to consider while doing the transition to the newer platform. Andy.
Thank you, Babu. Yeah, so let's shift to data quality. We know data is king, right? And data quality can derail everything. So Mayank, from your perspective, what's your strategy with data quality?
I think data quality is key, as you rightly mentioned. Garbage in, garbage out. We have been seeing this, right? And data analytics is no different, right? If you have problems with data quality, you cannot build apps on top of it. You cannot have your AI also working, as expected, which is, most of the customers are trying to get value out of by implementing some value AI use cases, right? So quality is key. Now, with if I talk quality in context of data warehouses and BW and migrations, you will see that earlier the data warehouses used to be based on kind of classic star schemas, or where you have facts and dimensions tables model, and duplicacy or duplicate data was not or denormalization was not an issue as such, right? But having said that, the quality issue starts with the sources, because analytics platforms are not, which generate data. It basically ingests data from the source systems. It combines them together to generate new insights, right? And if there are existing problems in BW and HANA warehouse, whatever we talk about, is not necessarily, have all of SAP data. So if you believe that your SAP data is, kind of have high quality, but what if you are using Excel files and other non-SAP data coming into your BW, and you have built custom routines to do some transformation and new insights and new KPIs you have created? What about null value checks for that? What about missing values for that, right? Small things about how do you configure, let's say, gender, and what do you use it for, whether M or F or whatever, or you use full names, right? It is a quality issue, right? So one source provides one thing, another source provides, and how you basically kind of harmonize that is important. So before we do any kind of migration, it is important to run a profiling on your existing data warehouse to see that what are the existing data quality issues. As part of toolchain, there are partners as well, which does quality assurance and testing, right? So we could leverage those tools to understand. We can work with customer to understand what are the existing data quality issues. And most of the time, these quality issues also rely on the business processes customers are using. So I was working for a customer on building some sustainability use cases. They had problems with onboarding suppliers, and they had quality issues from the source, from the business process itself. And we got stuck. And what do we do? Shall we implement analytics with whatever data we are getting, and we fix data in analytics platform? That's not an ideal way to do it. It should be fixed at source. But sometimes you have to take a call. So you need to align very closely with customer in what are we taking along to when we modernize these data platforms. What are we taking along from quality issues point of view? Where do we resolve it, and what options we should take? So it is very important to discuss this upfront with customers while doing any transformation project.
That's great, Mayank. And Babu, shifting to cloud value, what do you think are some of the things that customers misunderstand about cloud analytics?
Great question. In terms of cloud analytics, there's always a misconception that it is only about speed and cost, Andy. And it is not just about speed and cost. It is definitely speed and cost, but it is not just about it, but it's also about the data freedom when it comes for the analytics. And the freedom is received by connecting SAP data with external sources like, for example, Salesforce, data, Internet of Things, data, live logistic feeds data. And these are a really essential part to have the reliable and trustworthy real-time data, as Mayank was talking about. And that is the purpose of Datasphere and BDP that brings as a value to cloud. Andy.
That's awesome. So it sounds like, yeah, cloud enables real-time decisioning, self-service access, and ML routine readiness. So, and really these are the strategic levers that customers need to be focusing on. So let's talk some about BDC and Datasphere now. Mayank, talk to us about some of your observations from SAP's recent announcements at Sapphire about SAP Business Data Cloud.
Sure. I think we all have witnessed who have attended Sapphire, Andy. I think you were also there. BDC was launched in February, I think, right? And since then, there was a lot of kind of chaos, I would call it as, among customers, because a lot of migration projects, took a pause, right? And customers kind of said, okay, let me step back and think about it. What is my future path look like? My view from BDC point of view is this is the ecosystem I've seen, the evolution I've seen, for last different kind of warehouses and platforms. I see this is aligning with the market and industry architectural standards, which is comparable to cloud data ecosystem, which was missing within SAP landscape for ages. This is the first time I think SAP is now investing in the right direction. Okay, if you ask my personal view, and that meaning aligning with the lakehouse architecture, that meaning opening up that data ecosystem with partners using Partner Connect program, and they have already onboarded Databricks as an OEM. They announced partnering with Palantir. They announced partnering with Adobe. This basically shows that it is not one ecosystem which can work and do everything. It is about combining the capabilities of the open data ecosystem, which is demand of the hour, which is what customers are looking for to generate the insights they need to generate that business value. So that is very, very important. And BDC now provides like base pillars. If I talk about, right, we talked about having SAP Databricks, which provides a machine learning functionality now within SAP ecosystem. So if there are data products, you can customize those and you can run machine learning algorithms to forecast, let's say, sales, right? And it can be done, and you don't need to transfer data, move data somewhere else. It is happening within ecosystem. It also provides zero copy access, right? So you have some processes, some applications sitting on cloud, you can access data products from SAP BDC, and then you can build your product there. So you need to replicate data onto cloud ecosystem, and vice versa. Okay, so you could have your workflows running in BDC, and you can access data products from cloud, for example, right? That is a very, very important feature which is part of open data ecosystem and data sharing. Two more important things is I think SAP Datasphere has been there. It has been adopted as part of BDC as a fundamental fabric, and transformation architecture, which provides the functionality to build the data transformation workflows. It provides business builder as well to generate data as a product. And then if I talk about another pillar, which is Insight apps, and which basically leverages SSE dashboard. So end to end. I think we talked about evolution, right? Initially, we used to build ETL routines. There used to be ETL tools, and 70 to 80% of the work we used to spend in building ETL routines. Now, SAP is giving option for customers who have SAP S4 as a source, is you can deploy with one click end-to-end analytics using Insight apps. So you activate an Insight app for, let's say, financial analytics or working capital. It will bring in necessary data from the source. It will combine, it will harmonize, it will build data as a product, it will build dashboards, and then it will provide necessary access to the user. everything happens end-to-end automatically for standard SAP data products. That's a revolution, I would say. For customers who are starting greenfield, it's a no-brainer for them. And last but not least is BW Move. And we talked about migration strategies, right? I believe that most of the customers are now putting BDC and SAP ecosystem on the table, that this is a valid option for us, whether in a hybrid format, having cloud ecosystem and this together. And we can take a first step is move our BW or lift our BW onto BDC tenant, and then we think about shift is basically generating data products from BW objects, and innovate is whatever customization you have done, whatever reports you have built, you basically gradually move that, and that gives you immediate support, expiry date which is increased as soon as you move to BDC. These are important pillars, and this is customers who are looking for. So I think it is an investment in the right direction.
Thank you, Mayank. And as our time is coming to a close here soon, Babu, what's one of your biggest lessons learned?
Absolutely, there are a few I would like to share, and one of the thing is starting early, metadata discovery early enough in the project, in the transition project is important, and automating the extraction of transformation logic would be helpful. There are a lot of ungoverned logic which could be hidden in custom routines in the BW, legacy BW system, and documenting them and testing these for future testing. These are critical as part of this transition process. And typically, I would say the long pole in the tent is manual decoding of custom code, and we don't want to go there. And a tool like an AI-based tool like a Lemongrass has got one would be really helpful in decoding the custom code and to make value out of it, to do the specifications out of that, and that could be a helpful process. And these are the few things which I would say as a key points and lessons learned.
Makes total sense. And Mayank, from your side, what's your lesson learned?
I think there are 3 to 4 fundamental things, and basic fundamentals which most of the time we forget. I think what we have seen is by getting involved in few and by learning from customers who have already gone into the path as well, don't underestimate the complexity of migration. Specifically, some customers have, you won't believe, hundreds of terabytes of BW instances, a lot of cold storage, a lot of hot storage. They have like 10, 12, 14 nodes of BW, right? And never, thought about optimizing it, right? So we have to understand the complexity. We have to choose the right path, and then, putting efforts right now is essential. So don't rush towards it. Align with your data strategy, and then decide on what path is right, and then do the estimation properly, considering that path and modern ecosystem you are adopting. That is very, very critical. Second is automation first approach. Just close your eyes and tell everybody, we are going to follow automation first approach while adopting to or while moving to modern data ecosystem. And it doesn't matter whether we move on to BDC or Datasphere or cloud native or hybrid approach. I want to be able to scale my production platform as I modernize my legacy platform in a way which is basically how the modern data stack works. It is CI/CD implementation across infrastructure and data pipeline. And if some fundamentals are missing, then work with partners and SAP to see that how you could build that, rather than just closing eye and doing something and realizing later that, okay, this is something now out of control, and then you do fixes there. So that is very, very fundamental, which is Lemongrass, I think legacy as well. We believe in automation, working through SAP cloud migration for decades, right? Third is security first approach. A lot of customers are doing POCs, pilots, and we support those as well. But what we say is you should be doing the production design considering fundamentals of security on not only how your users and groups and roles and access will be it involves further, including governance as well, and how you're gonna have AI implemented on top of that. So don't just think through on to solve this problem. Think holistically in terms of security, and what are your fundamental requirements for security, and how does it your modern data ecosystem meet it. And last but not least is data governance. If you talk about BW, there's no lineage concept there, data lineage concept there. There's no fabric concept there. As you start adopting to Datasphere, there's a data lineage concept here, right? There you are talking about, classification of data. You're talking about, data catalog, right? So it's a journey for those team members of customer who are coming from BW and adopting this. There's a learning curve as well, but fundamentals is these data governance should be the first thing you need to think about and build a design for, and make sure your team is also prepared. A lot of time we see that, okay, let's do and implement this, but we don't build our capability and we leave the team behind. It is very, very important to take team along and train them onto these new fundamental concepts, because these are gonna be difficult as they start implementing things. So these are, I think, few lessons, and there are many more, but these are fundamentals, I would say, Andy, any customer should think about before starting their modernization and migration journey.
Well, thank you so much. And with that, Mayank, Babu, unfortunately, our time has come to a close. I appreciate you sharing your insights with us. And to everyone listening, migration is your chance to not just move platforms, but to unlock strategic agility. Thanks for joining us, and stay data smart.
Yep. Yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everyone.